Going to do is we're going to basically install our Garmin GXM radio antenna, and that will allow us to listen to XM radio through our Zumo 550 Garmin GPS. Now, the way this works is the XM radio antenna is a little device like this, looks kind of like a hockey puck, and basically it has everything included that it needs to provide XM satellite radio so that you can play back through the Garmin GPS system. So in reality, the GPS system here is only acting as a kind of a control head. There's no actual XM radio built into the GPS. It's all built into this little antenna. And what we're going to need for this installation is just a couple of the screws that come with the antenna and a small screwdriver. And as you can see up here, I've already mounted the Zumo GPS. I've installed a mounting plate, and the antenna will actually sit on top of this. This little plate came from Cycle Gadgets in Arkansas, and so I'm going to put the camera on a tripod. We'll screw it down, get it all plugged in. We'll see how it works. Now, the first thing we're going to have to do before I put it on the tripod is you'll notice this little screw up here that keeps the GPS locked into the cradle. I'm going to have to undo that, remove the GPS so that we can actually plug the USB cable from the antenna into the cradle, and that way everything will work properly. So I'll put the camera on the tripod and then we'll start getting this stuff installed. Okay, first order of business, as I said before, is to get this using our handy little tool here that comes with the cradle. We're going to just unscrew this, which basically is a special tool so that nobody can steal your GPS off your bike. And you just loosen that enough so that when you pop this up, the GPS unit will actually come out of the cradle. I'll set that over here on the seat for now. And I'm going to get the camera and show you what we have inside here. You'll notice now that inside this cradle is where all the cables attach. And down here, under this little rubber flap, is the USB connector. And the antenna cable is actually going to plug into that USB connector. And then once that's done, it's all integrated into the system. So I'll put the camera back in the cradle, or back in the tripod, and I'll show you how this works. This antenna has two threaded screw holes here that we're going to mount to this plate using these little set screws. So I'm just going to stick one of these screws up through here and kind of get it started with my hand so you can see how it works, and just kind of get it going there. Get my second screw underneath here. Okay, now I've got both screws started by hand. I'm going to have to get up here. You have to have a real small screwdriver to do this because it has to fit between here and this brake reservoir. So I'm just basically tightening these down. And once I get both these screws tightened down, we're pretty much ready to plug everything in and get it going. You want to make sure these are tight because they will come loose as the bike vibrates going down the road. Okay, now I have those on, and now it's just a matter of attaching the this USB cable here to the cradle. So I'll just do that now. Okay, now that I've got the cable installed, obviously we got to do something with all this excess cable. Because it comes with enough cable, you know, to where if you were to mount this anywhere else on your bike. I'm going to come up with a way to do that. I'm going to come up with a way to actually maintain that cable somehow wrapped around this or underneath here with some twist ties, just to keep it out of the way so that it doesn't be flopping around on the bike. I've got my cables all tied up the way I want. You see I used two of those cable ties. So I've got a pretty nice little neat package there. What I will do is I'm going to come in here later, use some Velcro or some other system to attach this to the bottom of this antenna bracket so that they're just kind of up and out of the way. I have my USB cable attached. For now I'm just going to let this sit down here. I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to put my GPS unit back in the cradle and get it locked down. I use our handy little tool to screw it back down into place so that it doesn't, so nobody can come and take it unless they have this little tool, of course. And it's tightened down. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to make sure that this antenna in the bracket doesn't hit the windshield. I have a windshield that slopes back pretty drastically. It's not the stock Goldwing windshield, so it actually comes back at a little bit lower angle. So I'm going to have to turn my wheel all the way to the left and make sure that that antenna, when it's fully at the left turn lock, does not contact that windshield. So that's something you need to make sure you check. And then you can adjust this ram mount accordingly so that your GPS unit will not contact that windshield. This looks pretty good right now. I'm going to go ahead and undo this little locking mechanism, tighten everything down real good, and then we should be ready to go.